We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
We're gonna talk 80s wrestling! Yeah!
Nearly broke him in half.
Look at this. $1 Million Man, Hulk Hogan, The Ultimate Warrior. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, folks, we're here with Brainy Brian, who's going to join us for our wrestling discussion.
Thank you.
Okay, well, we all grew up in starting, obviously, the 80s, right? That's
sure.
Where we were all big fans. You guys remember watching?
It was a weekend thing. Yeah, it was like the weekly wrestling show. Right? You had your couple of matches between known guys, and there was always like the big story match or two that capped things off. And then once a year you had... WrestleMania. Which
started when what was like 86?
Something like that.
I think before
85?
that even.
I don't think we saw it live. I think you had to pay for it. Didn't you?
It was pay-per-view.
But we didn't have it, but I remember hearing a friend tell me, Hulk Hogan slammed Andre the
No,
Giant.
that was WrestleMania 3.
Was that 3?
Yeah.
But I remember that moment being like, oh my God.
Oh, I remember that because it was like...
That was huge.
Someone lifted Andre the Giant.
All right, so we've already gotten into names, and I want to hit that right off the bat.
Okay.
To me, the thing about wrestling was like real life comic books, right? These were larger than life characters. Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan, Jimmy Superfly Snuka,
George Animal Steel.
Oh, George Animal Steel, like all these guys
Paul
were
Orndorff.
Paul, Mr. Wonderful.
Yeah, right?
Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
Oh, yeah.
He was awesome.
But we're all missing the most popular, and dare I say, personally, the greatest.
Coco?
No, not you.
Coco
Hulk
Beware?
Hogan, Roddy Piper.
The only difference between him and his girlfriend was 10 pounds and a bikini, and the Sheik had the bikini on, and she had the 10 pounds, and no $100 bill.
But wrestling's kind of even bigger now than it was when we were kids, isn't it?
It's far bigger, I think.
I got out of it by the time, like, undead characters were shown, The Undertaker and stuff like that. Like,
you missed The Undertaker?
Dude, there was nobody better than The Undertaker.
Oh, he...
It is chilly.
Yeah, I was out by then. To me, my era of wrestling was a lot of the guys that you just mentioned. And then it started to get a little crazy. I remember when he came on the scene.
When he came along is when I think that's when it started slowing down for me a little bit, and I stopped watching for a while.
These are awesome, by the way. All right, so who was your favorite wrestlers as a kid?
Roddy Piper.
Just like why?
Because he was the perfect heel. He was if I was gonna name my favorite wrestlers, and then you'll realize Roddy Piper, Triple H. Remember Triple H? You do probably. You don't know who that is.
That's after my time. I mean, I know who he is, but I didn't watch him.
Good heel too.
Yeah, like I love heels. Like I love that character who was like he's a jerk, but he's smart. He's like they were cerebral.
Yeah.
What about very, very quintessential 80s heels? The Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov.
The Iron Sheik, yeah, who used to wrestle in Sergeant Slaughter.
They were total stereotypes.
Mm-hmm. And gave you the iron boot.
Yeah, he had the
camel clutch.
The camel clutch.
Oh my, rearing way back.
Yeah, and he had the little loopies on his boots.
Supposedly he had like metal in it or whatever, and he'd like stomp it down and then kick you with it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess even in that time, it would get ridiculous. Like Jake the Snake Roberts, right? He'd bring the snake into the ring.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
He's got the snake, and
it was always antics.
Oh no. Take the snake, Robert. Look at that.
My guy back in the day was Jimmy Superfly Snuka.
He was the man.
Oh, he's putting up the I Love New York sign. Oh! Coming down off the top rope. Incredible.
I just want to let you know that Roddy Piper was a little bit responsible for ruining his career by hitting him over the head with a coconut.
No sir.
But Jimmy Superfly, he was the guy like you died to watch because you wanted him to jump off the turnbuckle.
Interesting story. If memory serves, like I collect cars. I'm a card nerd. I was digging through some boxes of cards the other day, and I found all these 80s WWF cards. I was flipping through them, and one of the guys there, and I remember him looking. I could see the card in my head now. Tito Santana, which was a fairly big guy.
Yep.
All right, this guy had been around when I was into wrestling. He had been around for a couple of years already, but he was in my era as brutal as it comes. He was one of the guys that you always wanted to watch because you never knew how crazy it would get. Abdullah the Butcher.
Yeah.
Remember that? He would come in and like they would just do like a little nick on the head, and apparently the secret was the head bleeds. Like I feel like fans now are a little more accepting and acknowledging of the fact that it's all in good fun. It's all scripted. I feel like at the time you were supposed to like
You weren't allowed to
accept
say it wasn't fake.
right. Well, because there's a couple.
Wait, it's fake?
There are a couple of those
We'll delete
notorious
that.
incidents of what's his name getting
Oh,
smacked. John Stossel getting smacked up in the hallway. The wrestlers would
They
not
would get mad.
they wouldn't entertain the idea.
You know,
Yeah,
by the way, and you just saying that triggered something. And,
Kayfabe or something.
and we didn't mention this wrestler, and it's a shame. Oh yeah!
Oh my god.
Wow.
How did
Yeah.
you forget him?
Yeah, Macho Man was
Macho
huge.
Man, Randy
The
Savage.
lovely Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, I had a crush on her when I was a kid.
Were you watching in the mid to late 90s?
Briefly in my early 20s, a bunch of like dear friends of mine that I had known since kindergarten, two of them had rented a house together, and they used to have Monday night parties for Monday Night Raw.
But what year?
Or
When was this around?
Probably the late 90s.
Because I started same thing. Like I stopped watching in the late like after once Macho Man and Ultimate Warrior. When I was working at the movie theater, I had a friend who was huge into it his whole life. Like he went to the matches, and so we started going over his house. Same thing at night to watch on Monday nights and watch Thursday nights and everything. Which I'm guessing is at the same time. So you watched like the Dudleys, the Hardy Boys.
Yeah, when they had absorbed
Table-
ECW, those guys were maniacs.
Listen, one night we're gonna sit and watch table ladder chair matches that they used to have.
Oh, those things were insane. That was the era of like Mankind getting thrown,
Yeah,
the
off the
cage match,
cages.
yeah, like insane. Like they were doing insane
Dude,
Hey,
stuff.
you know
Like,
what? I can't believe that we've been talking about wrestling. So you mentioned Mankind, and we've been talking wrestling this whole time, and I didn't even drop this story. I took a private roller coaster ride, sitting with and hanging out with Mankind, aka what was his later names?
Mick Foley.
Mick Foley.
That's his real name.
and his family.
In Six Flags?
At Six Flags, because he is a huge roller coaster enthusiast.
Okay.
In real life, he's a big roller coaster geek. And I used to be a member of the media. I used to be in the press. And sometimes there are nice perks, like you get invited to cool stuff. There was this debut of this brand new roller coaster at Six Flags Great Adventure in New Jersey. And so it was this private debut event. And Mick Foley was like invited there, and so we hung out. And he was the sweetest man.
He's a real nice guy.
Super nice. We rode the coaster together in the car.
Did you hold hands?
Oh yeah, totally. It was a lot of fun, and we got off and we talked about it, and then I guess I was like, oh yeah, I guess I have to do my job. And hey, Mick, I'm sorry, I got to do like a couple of questions thing because technically I'm here for work. So I did that, and we talked some more. Nicest dude you could imagine, super down to earth. His family was awesome. He was super awesome.
And then he body slammed you.
Yeah.
On a bunch of tacks.
And then I didn't find out until later. Like I got back to the office, like the next day or whatever, and started doing my notes and putting together my story. And I just looked him up, and I was like, "Holy cow, this guy's an enormous star."
He's huge.
No idea, and I wouldn't have been able to tell by interacting with him. Nicest guy in the world. So I wanted to drop that story, not to pat myself on the back because hey, I hung out with Mick Foley, but because seriously, that guy deserved props. I had no idea he was as huge as he was. You wouldn't be able to
and
tell.
looks, I think, probably less like a wrestler than anybody.
Yeah.
He also came from ECW too,
yeah,
right?
At the time,
ECW was the hardcore.
Yeah, as I recall, ECW was around when I was into it, but it was underground, and it was known as like that was where the hardcore stuff.
Yeah, they were a Philly-based mom and pop wrestling company, and that's what they were known for. They were.
Isn't that even what the E is? Was Extreme?
Extreme.
Yeah, they made a business move and absorbed the other two companies, and they took it all under. It was all under the umbrella, I think, of WWF. I think they were still WWF at that point.
Yeah, but they kind of.
They cherry picked all the best wrestlers, and they were just wrestling for The Dudley Boys came from ECW, and some of their biggest wrestlers actually had come from this really tiny. Insane wrestling organization.
I can't believe we just sat here and talked wrestling for a while. But I did. No, I want to acknowledge one last thing before we sign off. Even though I'm not into wrestling anymore, I kind of envy the folks who are, because wrestling's different now. There's an acknowledgement that, like, everyone understands, look, these guys aren't actually getting in the ring. Like, they're not real sports matches. It's not really a test of their abilities. Which when we were young, like, you might have known it was fake, but you kind of still thought maybe they really were wrestling. Now they acknowledge, no, this is just all in good fun. There's stories and stuff. And I feel like now wrestling fans, they get to enjoy that aspect of it a lot more than I think maybe we did. They get to enjoy the stories more. And I think that's kind of cool, like in a comic book kind of way. And I say that as a big comic book fan. These are superheroes, real life superheroes and supervillains. That's kind of neat. It sounds like it's like actually a lot of fun to follow that kind of stuff.
And nowadays, I mean, this was back then too, in the 90s, but nowadays there's so many storylines.
So, I think with that in mind, let's suplex Brainy Brian on camera right now.
Well, I'm a guest.
Pile driver. Which one do you want?
Thank you everyone for watching and listening. See you later.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Hiya, hiya, hiya. They're shrimply delicious. Hiya, hiya, hiya. You'll go for that mouth-watering, taste-tempting, meaty shrimp mixture all wrapped up in a crispy noodle jacket. It's a treat you can't beat. So come on, join the folks that are getting fresh, crispy, flavor.